Whoa! It's the illusion reporting from somewhere on spaceship Earth. Alright, I've got a lot of requests for this subject matter, and it's one of those subject matters that you have to be in the right time, the right space, and the right mental headspace to cover, or you could possibly just totally blow it. Alright, I wanted to talk about addiction, alcoholism, and recovery, and changing your frequency and the whole thing. And why I finally decided today was the day to talk about it was that I woke up this morning to a phone call from a dear friend of mine asking me for help. Now, this is a bro of mine that I originally got sober with, and he was doing it to beat a court case and the whole thing, but he rolled with me for a year and we became really tight surfing friends. And I'm one of those. For me personally, I don't have a judgment about what people ingest or put in their body or do. It's not my trip. I can only take care of myself and worry about myself. So we hang out. In fact, my bro calls me up and has me be his driver when he's going out to party, basically. And yeah, I get a kick out of it. I'm a partier down at heart. I just don't put stuff into my body to party. I just party. Yeah. Anyway, so my bro called me this morning, totally jammed up, asking for help. And that's what I do now. Like, yeah, I do a lot of things, but my one main priority in life is being of service to my fellow human being, especially when it involves coming out of the low frequency of drugs and alcohol and getting back into the high frequency of just vibrating at the correct frequency. So here's my bro, right? And a lot of people have asked me, like, how did you do it? Or because I don't really talk about this a lot, because it's not about promotion, it's about attraction. And I'm not advising anyone to do anything. That's not what this is about. This is about my own personal experience, and people have want to know how I went through it. I used to be like the last guy ever who was gonna get sober, put it that way. Anyway, to tie it all in together, people have asked me, how do you do it? What's the first thing you do? And it's what my boy did this morning. You ask for help. That's all it is, man, is you just ask for help. You decide that you've had enough with the way you've been living your life, that you ask for help from someone who can give you help. And it's the hardest thing you'll ever have to do. You know, I've made a couple videos about, for me, I had to ask for help from two complete strangers who were buying milk at a liquor store. All right, that's how I did it, man. But the thing is, and I can only speak from personal experience, is half the reason that we're using drugs and alcohol is to relieve us of the pain of this experience, because we know we're living in a duality. We know that at one point this is beautiful, what a beautiful day, right? But on another level, I know there's pain and suffering going on within this beautiful day. I know that there's all sorts of yin and yang going on, and that is insanity. That is totally insane to be aware of it, whether it's subconsciously or consciously, and to go about your day and try to make your world a better place. Because if you haven't crossed the Rubicon of acceptance and surrender and spirituality, or whatever you want to call it, it's hard to figure out what's going on. And because it's totally dual aspects of pleasure and pain, drugs and alcohol are a real easy way to blur the lines between pleasure and pain. And it works in the beginning. for me, it worked for a long time and took me to some radical adventures and some cool places and met some bitchin' people. But eventually, pleasure became pain. And then you exist in pain long enough, you're like, whoa, I don't want to be in pain anymore. Like my bro who called me this morning. He's like, dude, I can't be in pain anymore. Help me. And I'm like, bro, of course. That would be nothing. That's what source energy is all about, is helping your fellow human being to get to a higher frequency. And by you doing that, you elevate your own frequency. So, what is it in the beginning? What is it in the beginning when you're first changing yourself from the way of drugs and alcohol? Look, the first thing you got to do is, after you've made the call for help, after you've done the deal, is to listen to the people that you've asked to help you. Step one, listen to the people that you've asked to help you. And that's basically surrendering and all the stuff, man. And the next thing is to relax. Our hopped up, spun out mind doesn't want us to relax, because there is the insanity is we've been invaded by the enemy, the voice inside your head that talks to you and tells you all sorts of crazy things, that you're less than, that you're a loser, that you're never going to pull it off, that you should have done this by now, that you shouldn't be doing that, and blah, 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 and you're never going to score a hot chick, you're never going to score the dude you want, or whatever it is, man. So all of a sudden, you got to relax and not listen to that nonsense, man. All you need to do in the beginning is just buy some time. And the only way you can buy some time is to not act on the voice inside your head. The voice inside your head will basically tell you to go get loaded again. And if you've already asked for help, getting loaded will never, ever, ever work again. It's one of those things, man. That's why you have to be real careful about what you're doing with yourself. Because if you've taken your partying to the level that you've got to ask someone for help, there's no going back. You never get to party again, unfortunately. And that's the deal, man. But what's really going on is, on the other side of that darkness and bummer and, oh, it's over and I got to ask some person for help, is the real party. The party with the source, man. Where things are radical, where you can begin to manifest your own positive energy, where you can change your own reality, man. I mean, that's half of what's going on with this YouTube thing. For those of you guys who've been following me since the beginning in the trailer, you guys have watched me transform my own life by nothing else than just letting it transform, because however I go into like bummer or low frequency states, I don't add more density to that state by putting drugs and alcohol into my body. I basically do what I just told you to do, is I call someone for help, I relax, and I don't listen to the nonsense in my head. Sure, it's talking, it's making noise, but I don't act on it. And that's what this whole thing's about, is realizing that if our life isn't how we want it to be, that we can change it. But the way we change it is by relaxing, not fighting, not gripping. It's by letting go. And so, to kind of get to the first questions people have been asking me, that's the secret to the beginning, is just letting go. Letting go of this and beginning to feel this. Because once this starts to take command of your reality, this begins to shrink, and this isn't so loud. It's not nearly as loud as it used to be. Sure, it's still in there going, you're a retard, and you're stupid, and you're never gonna find a girlfriend, and you're alone, and blah, 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 you're a loser. But in the reality of my heart, which is connected to the source, I'm a beam of light, man. I'm tapped into unconditional love that is granted to me by the benevolent reality of whatever you want to call it. I like God because it's a nice short word, but source energy is really what it is. And when I'm in contact with that eternal, unconditional love of the now, I'm perfect, man. But when this thing goes on in my head, when this thing starts telling me about the past and the future, I'm anything but perfect. I'm the most inadequate, fouled up, toxic thing ever. So it's always about getting yourself out of the past and not tripping on the future and just staying in the now. And basically, why we began to use drugs and alcohol in the beginning was it removed the future and it removed the past and it got us into the now. But eventually that now becomes so toxic that it is only the past and only the future. It never is the now ever again. So for those of you who have asked me about the struggle with drugs and alcohol, I just say to you, ask yourself, are you done? Have you had enough pain? Do you want to live in the light? Do you want to be a beam of light? And hey, if you're fine doing what you're doing, just carry on, man. Like I said, I'm pro drugs and alcohol at the end because they ultimately lead you to the light. But you've got to really be a rock and roller to get there, man. Half measures will avail us nothing. So be careful out there, people. I mean, seriously, drugs and alcohol will kill you. They've killed so many people out there, and we've lost so many beautiful people to drugs and alcohol. It's ridiculous. And if you think you've gone too far, you have. And just call someone for help, man. We won't hurt you. We'll just love you. That's what we do. Anyway, this is The Illusion on a beautiful day in Southern California. I'm gonna go grind some coping.